Hi guys, ever wonder how coffee roasters nail down their roast profile time and time again? Well, one of the tools that they use and we use in our roastery is a color analyzer. So let's talk about this in this video. So over here we have with me a medium roast and a dark roast. And the way we nail down consistency in our roast color is by using a device called a color analyzer. A color analyzer is basically just a device that measures the light reflected back to the device and it tells you a number. Now that number, in the world of specialty coffee, we use a scale called the Actron scale. Now the Actron scale is just something to define what is a dark roast, what is a medium roast, and what is a light roast. So the way it works is it's a scale from 25 to 100. Now the higher the Actron number, the darker the roast. The lower the Actron number, the lighter the roast. So for example, for a dark roast like this, you might get an Actron number of 70 to 75, while a medium roast like this, you would get an Actron number of 55 to 60. So it varies a little bit, but what we do is to achieve consistency in our roastery, we use a color analyzer that looks like this. So let me just show you the color analyzer. What we use currently is a device called Le Brew. It's relatively affordable. It's about 1,500 ringgit. So in the US, maybe it's about, if I do the conversion correctly, about 300 to 400 US dollars. Still pricey, but as a roaster, honestly, a color analyzer is needed if we want to achieve consistency. So what we do is we mark the color of the bean, outer and also inner, using a color analyzer. So let me just show you how the device actually looks like. Let's put this away and let me show you the star of the show. So this Le Brew device comes with a pouch like this, and basically this is the star of the show. It's a color analyzer. If I turn it on, you could see it looks basically something like this. And what it does, it basically measures the color. Very, very simple, right? Of your coffee. And what you're given here is you're given a tray that is for a whole bean tray. And then you're given another tray, which is for grounded coffee tray, right? So you can measure both the outer color of the bean itself and also the grounded bean. The grounded bean is basically just the average color of the bean from outer to inner. And let's just show you what's inside the box. Another thing that you get is this thing. It basically zeroes out the scale so you can recalibrate your meter if ever it runs, right? You're given this large tray so you wouldn't make a mess of it. And lastly, one of the most important thing is you're given a Actron ruler, right? So this ruler here is, it's pretty cool in that it shows you basically what Actron number corresponds to what kind of roast level, right? So over here, if you look at it, it basically shows you like what you need for a particular, what Actron number you need to hit for a particular bean. So let's just show you how it works, right? Let me turn on the device. So I would just turn it on. And now I have a tray like this. What I would do is you're supposed to load it up, right? You're supposed to load it up and use a ruler like this to get a flat surface. So it's very important that we get a flat surface. Now I have a flat surface here, and all I do is just go here, hit measure, and hit measure. Now you can see it says 66.6, right? 66.6. It's classified now here as light medium. Well, we'll just call it light roast, right? Or medium roast, sorry, for this Columbia Siracusa. So most of the times we would do it a few times with a few samples just to make sure that first our sample is right and secondly everything is average out, right? So let's measure it again and it shows 65. So now it's medium, right? So now it's classified as medium roast. So this basically gives us a parameter of telling us or letting us understand what our roast level is for a particular roast, right? And let's just measure the dark roast and let me show you how it looks like, right? So let's say this is the dark roast. Now, bear in mind again, okay, so let's talk about this first. So now we get a 55.9 on this roast level, but it's considered a medium roast. But in the world of specialty coffee, we like to define our dark roast as something that is not as dark as what the Actron scale defines it as. So for example, a dark roast or a full city roast, moderately dark, is actually somewhere a number between 45 to 55. Now this was at the border, it's 55 Actron level. So it's still classified in between moderately dark and medium, right? That is where we go as dark as possible. I think the lowest we ever gone on any of our coffees are about the number of 45 Actron. Anything that's below that Actron number, to us, it's just too dark, and we at His Brew Coffee Roastery, we typically do not roast it that dark. But let's go back to the scale itself. Now, this scale is super useful. What we did was just measure the whole beans. You could also grind the beans and then measure the grounded coffee. And basically, what we do is we tabulate the data, understanding that for a particular roast, this is the roast level we want to achieve, right? And when our roaster would roast coffee, we'll take every sample of coffees that have been roasted and make sure that we are within the ballpark. The maximum leeway that we give is a 5 Actron level, 5 number, right? So anywhere of +5 to -5, it's okay for us. But anything that is beyond that, we will have to toss that coffee away and re-roast it again. So the reason why Actron number is so important is obviously, visually looking at it, it's important to know what roast level you have. But another parameter that heavily influences the taste of the coffee is actually roast level. So the darker you roast the coffee, obviously it will taste more harsh and bitter. The lighter you roast a particular coffee, it will taste more bright and juicy, right? So it really depends. But we use a color analyzer like this to help us identify our mistakes in our roast, and also help us to figure out what is the best roast level, and also how to achieve consistency in our roast. Now, granted, we did not have a color analyzer to start off with. When we were really small, we just roast based on visual cues, right? But as we grew bigger and bigger, we want to achieve more and more consistency, and that's why we use a color analyzer. Now, there are a lot of color analyzer on the market. Just to name a few, there's the Lighttail, I'll link it down in the description below. There's the Roast Seat, and there are a couple more. They're all pretty pricey, right? And even Fluid even came out with their own color analyzer. Fluid, if you're listening, you could send us one and we'll definitely do a review on it. But anyway, that aside, so there's the Lighttail, there's this Roast Seat, there's the Fluid Omics, there's also other brands out there, right? But most of them are really, really pricey. They range all the way from $1,000 to $2,000, $3,000, right? This is the most affordable color analyzers so far that we can find in the market that is also consistent. So we use this as a parameter to guide us in our coffee roasting journey. So now, if you're coming to our shop at His Brew at our roastery and you want to know what roast level it is, it's written on each pack, but the way we identify it is basically through a Actron scale. So I hope that explains it, and I'll see you in the next video.